Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's episode, I am going to discuss the IUI procedure that I underwent in an effort to try to conceive a baby. I did allude to it in video 1 as a part of my 15 years and counting experience that I'm doing as it relates to my fertility journey. So back in 2011, I had 3 IUIs done. They were unsuccessful, but I did want to share the details behind those procedures. And pause. If you can remember in the video 2, maybe it was, I talked about how my nails looked raggedy. And I was gonna rectify that at a later date. So look, it's completely rectified, although this nail is broken. I mean, and I broke it maybe a day or 2 after getting it done. I always break nails. They never last long with me, but I can happily say that at least they are done. And at least I'm not looking busted. On a more serious note, because infertility is extremely serious, right? It's an extremely serious subject. And sometimes, as you guys know, I've been on this journey for 15 years, and sometimes you have got to laugh. You've got to laugh to keep from crying. So I've been there. I know exactly what you're experiencing if you are on this journey too. So anyway, back in 2011, whoa, that's a long time ago. So back in 2011, my doctor recommended that I try IUI in order to conceive a baby. I have since been diagnosed with unexplained infertility, but back then I had been trying to conceive a baby for, oh my goodness, probably a year and a half. I was in my 20s. So I was young, I was healthy, but I was just unable to conceive a baby. And so my doctor recommended I try IUI. He and his wife had used IUI to conceive their babies. And so he thought that I'd be a good candidate. And IUI stands for intrauterine insemination. Intrauterine insemination, and it's where your doctor takes your partner's sperm, uses a catheter, and inserts that sperm directly into your uterus in order for you to conceive a baby. It's low cost, it's relatively easy, it's quick, and it should be relatively painless. For me, mine were incredibly painful. But for you, I hope and I pray, if you're thinking about IUI, that it is pain-free for you, as it is for most women who undergo that procedure. So my doctor and I monitored my ovulation, and whenever I was most fertile, we set a date for me to collect my husband's sperm. So it's fresh sperm, and we collected it in a plastic cup similar to the cup that you use for urine samples. So we collected it in a plastic cup, and the moment that he deposited the sperm in the cup, I placed it on my body to keep it warm. I can't remember if I was told to do that or if I just did that, but I'm sure I was told to do that, because why would I do that? But I just can't remember now because it's been so long. But I placed it on my body to keep it warm, and I drove to the hospital / clinic. My hospital / doctor's office was about 15 minutes from my home, so it was not a long drive. So collected the sperm, called the office, or called the hospital, called my doctor's office, told them that, I was en route with the sperm. And once I got there, checked in, they already were ready for me. So I checked in, changed into my gown, gave them the sperm, and waited for about 10 minutes for them to come into the room. Now, according to Google, because like so many of us, I didn't ask what they did with the sperm. And, looking back, I realized now that I definitely probably should have asked more questions, but I did not ask. They wash the sperm, and then they bring that washed sperm into the room with you, insert it into a catheter, and you can literally see it flowing down into the tube, going directly, or you can't see this part, but it flows directly into your uterus. In order for you to conceive. The whole entire process from check-in until the time I left probably took about 45 minutes. So not a very long time. So I checked in, was admitted to the room, that was probably, and gave them the sperm. They came into the room in about 10 minutes. They performed the procedure that probably lasted 5 minutes. At best, 5-10 minutes, not a very long time. And then after they performed the procedure, they told me to lie back and elevate my legs in an effort to get the sperm to travel downward into the uterus. I don't know if they still do that. I know that in a lot of IVF clinics, like back in the day, whenever you did the transfer of the embryo, they would tell you to elevate your legs as well. So I'm not sure if that's like an outdated practice now, but at the time in 2011-ish, that's what I was instructed to do. And that's what I did for all 3 IUI rounds. But the painful part, so it felt like that, and it's just a little tiny tube that they insert into your vagina and into your uterus. It's not even a thick tube. It just was so painful. And on the 3rd round, because the person who's performing the procedure for me, in all 3 instances, was not my regular doctor. It was the doctor that was on call, the OB that was on call for that particular day. And so for me, it was always the weekend, always after hours when I had my procedure done. But I'm sure that varies from clinic to clinic, doctor to doctor, woman to woman, just depends on whenever you're most fertile. So on the 3rd round, because all 3 were incredibly painful, it felt like somebody was ripping me apart, literally, like someone was tearing open my insides. And so the 3rd doctor was like, you have so much scar tissue that it's so difficult for me to insert the tube. And I was, and I'm like, scar tissue? How did I get scar tissue? Is that why I can't get pregnant? And so of course my mind starts to go in 100 different directions when she tells me that. And it was just kind of a afterthought comment, and she's probably just voicing out loud what she was thinking in her head, because she never addressed it any further. And she just kind of threw out the comment and left it out there hanging in the air. And you know how those comments go. Your doctor, not thinking anything, throws out a comment, and it makes you spiral and Google and stay up half the night thinking about the comments that he or she said. So anyway, she said that I had a lot of scar tissue, and that in my mind is why it was so painful. So that was my experience with IUI. Like I said, it was relatively easy. It should be pain-free. It was only $300 per round for me. My ex-husband worked for the federal government at the time, and so we had federal, insurance through the federal government. If you have insurance through a private company, most likely I don't know, but it might even be free for you. And I don't know what the cost is today, but I'm assuming that $300 was just a part of our deductible that we had to meet. And that after that, I would imagine that it would have been less than $300. So I would, if your doctor has suggested it, I would definitely encourage you to think about the IUI process prior to IVF, if age is on your side, if money is something that you're considering because it's significantly less than IVF. I almost look at the IUI process as kind of like a first round attempt to conceive. Like chances of getting pregnant, I think, are about 9% with the IUI process. So it's almost like your first line method. I was going to say of defense, but like your first line method prior to advancing to IVF is the way that my doctor treated it. Your doctor, of course, you should talk to your doctor and seek advice from your doctor when it comes to decisions about your health. But as your internet girlfriend, I'm here to share my experience with you, what my doctor suggested to me prior to doing IVF. Now keep in mind, IVF was not an option because my doctor was not a fertility specialist. This was my regular OBGYN. And so this was something that he could perform in-house, in his office. And he was a part of a hospital system. And so the procedure was done in the hospital, and it was the regular OBGYN on call that performed that procedure all 3 times. I was allowed to collect my husband's sperm and bring it into the clinic with me. So there was no prep whatsoever the day of the IUI procedure. So I really hope that information helps someone who is considering IUI and who may have had questions about the IUI process. Like I said, relatively painless for most women, and a low-cost procedure for most people who are considering advanced treatment for attempting to conceive. So hopefully that was helpful. Drop some comments below. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Of course, your doctor is your source of information when it comes to questions about your health, but I can certainly do my best to share my personal experience with you and my thoughts on whatever I've discussed in my videos from my point of view. I'm more than willing to do that because, hey, I'm your internet girlfriend, and I definitely have been there. I know exactly what you're experiencing. I know the anxiety that you're feeling. I know the hundreds of questions that you may have in your head. Sometimes you get information and you're left with more questions than answers. So drop a comment, like the channel, share the video, please, if you found this information helpful. And if you want to continue to follow me on my journey as I approach year 15 with attempting to conceive. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you in the next video. Bye.